Hey guys, Pastor Chris here. Welcome to the poolside chat in my car. I'm working today, and but I wanted to get this out to everyone because I thought it was important. We got a theme going on with serving others in times of disaster and distress, and I talked about chaplaincy. Last week I mentioned that I think some people may confuse chaplaincy with evangelism, reminding people that there are not only Baptist chaplains, but Methodist chaplains, Catholic chaplains, Buddhist chaplains, Islamic chaplains, Jewish chaplains, and even atheistic chaplains, which I still can't figure, but... And I think... I said, what's the biblical basis for chaplaincy? There was so much that I can point to, because chaplaincy is not like a pastor or an elder or a deacon where I can turn to 1st or 2nd Timothy or Titus and say, look, here are the qualifications, here's what you do. But remember what a chaplain is. A chaplain does not have a congregation. They do not shepherd, grow a flock. They serve the world, or at least the peace that God calls us to. So what does this calling look like? Is there a biblical basis? And I go to a lot of areas to show what chaplains are, but one that I kept coming to this week was the story in Luke 10, and it's the story of the prodigal son. And what I find interesting about excuse me, not the prodigal son, the Good Samaritan. But what I find interesting about this story, and I think sometimes we forget this was addressed and told by Jesus to a biblical scholar. Some translations call it a lawyer, some a scholar, some learned, but it is someone who understood scriptures, who understood Bible, who understood the law, who understood Torah, who was able to interpret. And this is a really, really, really religiously smart person. And what we don't realize is that this person had an idea of what it was to serve God. And what Jesus did in telling this story is he showed them what serving God looks like. Chaplaincy. So the story is there's a guy going down a road, he gets robbed, he's left for half dead, unconscious. Religious leader walks by, crawls on the other side. Another religious leader walks by, turns his head. Samaritan comes by. It's a Jewish man. Samaritans and Jews hated each other. But it says, and the Samaritan looked on the person and had compassion on him. He dressed his wounds. He put him on his donkey, brought him to the town, took him to an inn, said, take care of him. If it costs more than I've given you, I will return, and I will pay that much more. So the point of this story is who's my neighbor, but let me have you look at this in a different way. When you need a chaplain serves the people around him. They look on people with compassion. They see their hurts, they see their needs, and they address them. He didn't try to evangelize, he didn't try to convince, he didn't try to share, he didn't try to explain. But it says he had compassion and he took care of him. That is what someone who is called to be a chaplain does. That's why it's a calling. And that's why there are different types of chaplains. I don't mean different denominations, but different types. Some are called to serve in disaster relief. Some are called to serve in hospitals. Some are called to serve in hospice. Some are called to serve in prison. Some military. Some community. Some homeless populations. Some first responder communities. Because it is a calling. And it's that group that God has put on your heart that He calls you to serve. Doesn't mean that we don't need to be religious, have a faith walk. I would dare disagree. That's why I have a problem with atheist chaplains. You got to realize there's a higher power, but anyway. But that's where a chaplain learns how to serve. The biblical basis for chaplaincy, one of the areas, and the one I want to share today, is the story of the Good Samaritan. So I hope this kind of explains where we come from, where I come from, why I continue to learn and grow and study. And it's how best to serve people, but also how to grow in grace and knowledge of God. The two go hand in hand. So, thanks for listening, guys. That's it from my carpool. Haha, carpool. I'm Pastor Chris. Keep the questions coming. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, at FL Compass Church. And now on Instagram, which might be later, at FL Compass Church. Have a great weekend. I will be busy this weekend working, but it is going to be a great weekend. And remember, tomorrow's Sunday. Go to church. We'll see you Wednesday.